Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Bob Power, and on behalf of OTC Markets, as well as our co-hosts, Murdoch Capital Partners and TAA Advisory, we're very pleased you've joined us for our next live presentation from O3 Mining. Before I introduce our speaker, a few points to note. Please submit your questions in the question box to the left of the slides. If you're interested in scheduling a meeting with O3 Mining, please click on the Meetings tab found on the left navigation bar. You'll be able to view the company's availability and submit a meeting request. On a final note, all of today's presentations will be recorded and available for 24/7 replay. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Jose Vizquera, President, CEO, and Director of O3 Mining, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol OIIIF and on the TSXV under the symbol OIII. Welcome, Jose.
Thank you very much for having us here. I am really pleased to be able to give a presentation to all of your audience, and we'll go into the presentation right away. So O3 Mining is really the third iteration of the OSISCO group of companies, and here's cautionary statements. And it's very interesting to talk about the OSISCO group of companies and a little bit of the history. It's important to mention because I really want to plant the seed here that this group is a group that knows how to do this, which is mining, and has done it before. So the first iteration of OSISCO Mining was a group of three individuals, Sean Rusen, John Bursinski, and Bob Wares, which were able to find a deposit early in 2003, were able to fund the deposit in 2008, were able to make a very big discovery, finally build the mine and make it into production. Interestingly enough, that is what today is the largest gold mine in Canada, called Canadian Malartic. And it is really only crossing that railroad where today O3 Mining, the third iteration of OSISCO, has the Marban deposit, which is composed of Marban, Quirents, and Malartic, on which we are going to be talking throughout this presentation. We believe that there are three main pillars on which we have to work with: people, the asset, and the money. And those three are being covered by O3 Mining. With regards to the people, we have a group of professionals which has more than 20 years experience, more than 50 years total amongst all of us, and all of us with a lot of experience in major companies as well, and working in companies that has been into production already. With regards to the asset, we have two main assets, Marban and Alpha. Marban being the one crossing the railroad from Canadian Malartic, the largest gold producer in Canada, with over 500,000 ounces of production per year. Have in mind that today an ounce of gold is around $1,800 per ounce, and where we have over 67 million tons of ore of around 1 gram, which equates approximately 2.3 million ounces of gold in all categories. And that is extremely important. Marban as well is a project on which we have done a pre-feasibility study. Very important to highlight what a pre-feasibility study. A pre-feasibility study is a study where the resources are in measured and indicated category are the ones that will go into the study, which means that you have more certainty than if you were using all the resources, including the ones in the inferred category. The financial position is certainly the second important milestone for us. It is part of our foundation for the company. As we were talking before about people, now we're talking about finance. As you can see from here, we have around $16 million in cash. We have in investments around $42 million, which mostly are the Moneta gold position that we have, and also in a company called Cartier. And the importance of this is that now the assets that we had that were moved to Cartier and Moneta are actually much more important now that they have been consolidated. And that allows us to believe that we have enough time to execute a plan, which is to put a mine into production by 2026. As we move forward, we are working in Val-d'Or, and Val-d'Or is one of the most important camps, mining camps in the world. It is one of the most prolific greenstone belts. Greenstone belts meaning these very old rocks that exist in Canada with a lot of gold that has been produced here. There is pretty much a mine every kilometer, and that is a fact, not something that I'm making up. And you can see the structure there that goes through the highway, and there you can see the highway in red. And you can see the importance of this. And you can also make a very valid point that there is significant players in the area, including, as I alluded before, Agnico Eagle, only crossing the road from O3 mining. Important to mention a fact, which is that Agnico Eagle recently bought Yamana Gold and therefore has an interest in the area where we operate and has been very open. Amar, his CEO, saying that they intend to consolidate. Also very important in a couple of press releases being made by Agnico Eagle, in which they allude to the importance of the fruitful environment where we operate all. And other companies such as El Dorado, which is another major company in the area, and this is an area where the majors has been exploring for many years, since the 1930s, including Teck used to be in the area as well, and where very large deposit has been found. More than 25 million ounces has been already found in the area, and much more ounces are going to be found and produced in the area of Val-d'Or. Val-d'Or has a couple of things that are very important to mention: manpower, electricity, because there is hydropower, so it's very clean energy here in the area, and that's something that we should all have in mind. It's clean energy, and that's not something that exists everywhere. And remember that energy takes a lot of the cost that you will have in a mine, so that's a very important point. And finally, infrastructure, railroads, roads, airports, water, you name it. So Val-d'Or is a very important area where there is democracy, where there is freedom, and where there is rule of law, which we should not take it as something for granted. It is very important to count with these things. The pre-feasibility study has been a very important study, as I mentioned before, because we have been accounting only the indicated and measured resources in order to be taken into account here. And from these, we can see something very important. O3 mining and Marban project is a standalone project under any circumstance. How can we make this project better? And that is certainly by adding more ounces, which will increase the net present value, or by reducing the capex. And we are working in both areas. And on those two themes, I am going to be elaborating the presentation. We're going to see here a 3D view of our project. Most of the resources has been found so far here in Marban, Quirenzá, and Olartec. But it is very evident from here that there is 3 structures, this one, and this one. There are the 3 main structures that extend through the project where we have the resources. And it is very evident that the areas where we're going to be focusing are here, where we have Malartic H, Orion, and Malartic high grade, which we expect through that exploration to increase the resources because there is previous drilling in the area. How else can we increase the value of the project? And that is certainly taking care of the infrastructure. Can we make this more profitable? Can we make this at a lower price? Are there other alternatives? And the alternative is yes, we will work on trying to reduce the cost. But there is also an alternative with regards to tailings and the processing plant, which will essentially be by working together with the Canadian Malartic mine that already has the mill, that already has the tailings, and there is a possibility of possible working with them. Remember that recently Canadian Malartic bought Yamana and that they have an interest in the area, and that there is based on their own information, they will be needing feed for their mill. So there is an opportunity there to at least investigate synergies with Canadian Malartic. How close is Canadian Malartic? Well, you're very, very close from the Marvin pit, which you can see there, to just going around and where Malartic, or the Canadian Malartic mine, is the largest mine in Canada. How would the gold price impact the project? And it certainly impacts in a very positive way. Right now, we are at over $18, 1,800, and let me check here, as we are $1,855 per ounce. So we are talking that technically today our project is valued at $595 million. If gold goes to 2,000, then we're talking about 726, and if it goes down to $463 million, which effectively shows that this project, as the gold price goes, gets much more robust. Instead of paying it in 3.5 years, we could pay it in 2.7 years. And imagine that, how good this will be if we don't have to spend $435 million, which is the capex, but if we have to spend less by working with synergies around the area where we operate and using current infrastructure of other players where we don't have the certainty, but we have the opportunity to be able to work collaboratively. On the production side of things, we will be producing an average of 160,000 ounces, which essentially means that from a net present value standpoint of view, discounted free cash flow in our model, every time that we add another 160,000 ounces, and that's a fact based on the studies, we will add another $80 million into the net present value. So if we find 2 more years of production, that means effectively 320,000 ounces, we will have an extra $160 million impacting the net present value, which at this price is $463 million. One point to remember is that our market cap is $100 million, give it or take. Our fundamental value today at $1,700 gold is $463 million. And if we use current gold prices, is $595 million, which means 5 times our investment could be made on a fundamental basis. On the exploration side of the company, of O3, as I alluded before, we have in blue the areas where we'll continue to grow and where we believe that we could add value into the production immediately. In green, as the color states, is green fields. So it's an earlier stage and where we will continue to do exploration, but it's earlier stage with already drilling. So we are one step ahead of many other competitors that we could have. So we certainly believe that Marvin has a lot of opportunities, a lot of upside to be much bigger and much better from where we are right now. This is just a platform. This is just the beginning of where we could be. We also have another project on the eastern side called Alpha, also very close from El Dorado, which is on the northern side. But interestingly enough, we share boundaries again with Agnico Eagle at the Cassava, an area where we will continue to do exploration, an area where last year we announced a new resource in Bulldog. And O3 Mining is a company of word. We said we were going to do a PEA and we did it. We said we were going to do a pre-feas and we did it. We said we were going to do a resource for Bulldog and we did it. And now what I'm telling you is we will have a resource for Marvin, a new resource for Marvin, which will impact the PEA, or will at least give us a hint of how better the PEA can get, because the PEA, it's only with measured and indicated, and these resources probably will be on the inferred category. And from that point on, we'll just increase value on the fundamental basis into O3. Expect that shareholders understand that fundamental value matters. And this is a story that if you believe that gold price will go high, as we do, then you should be buying this company. If you don't believe in gold price, if you don't believe in gold, if you don't believe in precious metals, this is certainly not a story for you. Maybe you want to go into tech or you want to go into agriculture. But if you do believe in gold price going high, this is a great way to hedge it. This is a great way to have exposure to it in a sense that our discovery cost so far has been in the order of $20 per ounce. And this means that for every transaction that we have seen before, you're talking about a 10x there. So it's a fantastic opportunity what you could have by joining us. Now, clearly there is going to be questions about how we are going to be moving forward and where is the exploration potential. So, a couple of things to be mentioned. Yes. With regards to the exploration potential, where are the future growth, or where is the future growth of O3? And I'll go back to that slide because I think it's important to underpin that. And that is essentially here in blue, where we could see the possibilities for most growth in Malartic H, Malartic high grade, and Orion 8. We have recently identified an area for potentially volcanic massive sulfides, and that is in this area in green. There was previous drilling been done by our predecessor NioGold, where we will intend to do more exploration. And certainly, because we know that the Camflo pit or the old Camflo pit is here, we will be drilling as well at the boundary. Do we believe that there is substantial more opportunities here at Marban? I think that we do have the right ingredients that deserve to be tested, and we have to test these targets. And I certainly believe that we have an opportunity here to show more value. Yes, with regards to the CapEx, most of the CapEx in general terms in an exploration or in a development project are mostly alluded to the processing plant, as we can see. In our study being done by Ausenco shows $161 million and $45 million into tailings. So assuming that we could work collaboratively with Canadian Malartic, which is crossing the railroad, there is an opportunity where we don't have to spend effectively $200 million. So we will be bringing down from $435 million to effectively $235 million the CapEx. So CapEx can be reduced, yes. And then, of course, we are looking at where we could reduce our CapEx by ourselves. The next question is with regards to environmental permitting. Yes, we have submitted already our initial project description with a pre-feasibility. We're working towards a feasibility, and once we submit the feasibility study, then the permitting process effectively will start. But right now we are receiving suggestions and ways to optimize the project around the area and to work collaboratively with the citizens, with First Nations, with our own employees, and how to contribute the best to the city of Val-d'Or, the city of Malartic, the Temescaman area of influence where we operate. The next question is with regards to how close we are. I think we spoke about this, but it really shows from here that the infrastructure in place is incredible in the area, where we could go from Marban directly to the railroad and then take the actual railroad and be able to go to Canadian Malartic. With regards to the funding, as I mentioned before, we are well funded. We are funded until the end of the year, and there is certainly alternatives for funding at this time for a company of our size and our track record. So with that, I will thank you for your time. Thank you for your questions, and I hope that I have answered all of them. If not, please feel free to contact us at www.o3mining.com through our investor relations site. And if you want a one-on-one